Okay, so here's the glue I am using to add the pearls on. Here is my pick of pearls. I also have some rhinestones that I put in there, but I think I'm going to use this size right here, which is like 2 mm. If you're looking for the same type of pearls online, it usually comes in packs. They have all these different sizes, but the size I'm going to be using, I think this is 2 mm. 3 mm is a little bigger. This might be 1.5 even, but that's the pearls that I'm going to continue adding. I just need to finish the top bust area. Also, this is the tool that I'm using to add the pearls on to the dress. Alright, and there's only a couple more that need to be added just to make sure that it looks super even and nice. It's more at the bust and it kind of fades out into here, so I'm just adding the smaller ones to make that bust a little bit more full. I'm trying to look at a podcast or something while I'm sitting here to listen to. Let me see if my iPad, maybe I can turn on my podcast that I love listening to. See if that'll pop on. Guys, and again, this is just a flat back 1.5 or 2 mm pearls. You can get these packs off of Amazon for, I want to say maybe $7.99 or like $9.99. It's very cheap to get. This size is a very small size. So this is what I'm listening to, just so you're aware. On my couch, wrapped in a blanket, with the fireplace, looking through ABC's 2020.
I love 2020. Barbara Walters, motherfucker.
They have like 50 seasons, and each a serious, hardworking young man, right? After he got his BA in physics. Okay. So this is like the start of the story. Lieutenant in the U.S. Army, did 2 years of service, one in South Korea, one in Georgia. Like, this is a very serious, hardworking young man, right? After he did his 2 years of service, he then moved to Florida to become a nuclear engineer. No games played with this man. Around 1988, his brother set him up on a blind date. This is like a big Jewish family, and they're like, we need your wife. You know, the career's booming, but it's time for the wife, it's time for the kids. Let's get serious. Yeah. Okay? Sets him up on a blind date with a coworker of his brother's coworker. Because his brother actually worked in a hospital, and he told him about this really dope operating room technician. He was like, she's perfect for you. She's like bubbly, energetic. She also comes from like an amazing Jewish family. This is like the perfect setup. He agrees. They go on a blind date. It's amazing, right? He's like, I found my person. They both did. They were like, this is it. Nothing else. Nothing else.
I'm just waiting for it to go sideways. Excuse me.
Everybody says that. Like, that's my thing. Everybody
hey,
like
what do they say? So... When you know, you know. So they dated.
It's not kismet. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
Y'all made
they
it work.
Dated, and things were so good, y'all. He proposed to her. He proposed to her after 6 months of dating.
See what I mean?
That's how sure he was about this. And she was like, yes.
Sure we are. It was fake.
She was like, hell yes. You know, the cool thing was that they both came from really big Jewish families. He was like one of three. He had an older sister, older brother, so he was the baby. And she was one of three. She was the middle child, 2 sisters.
Crazy.
And their families just got along.
The middle child and 3
The middle
girls.
and the baby.
She's crazy.
But their families really fucked with each other heavy.
Like Tamar Braxton.
Is she the middle?
I thought she was the youngest. The baby. Oh. But she got a bunch of fucking sisters, don't she?
She sure does.
It drove her crazy.
I don't know who's the craziest, but their families, everything just meshed. Like, this was literally a match made in heaven. Mark was described, right, when the mom was describing him as, like, quiet but really funny. Y'all know that personality type where, like, they might not say much, but when you know them really well, it kind of reminds me of Chuck. Like, he's quiet as hell, but he's honestly one of the funniest people on earth.
Very observant. Yeah.
Okay? And then, but Donna was more of, like, the larger-than-life personality, right? She was, like, spunky, electric, a straight shooter. And I usually feel like those two personalities tend to gravitate towards each other.
Tamar and Vince.
The quiet husband, the larger-than-life wife. So it worked really well. Once they got married, Mark actually got a job opportunity. Remember, he's a nuclear engineer, and he got a massive opportunity to move to Springfield, Illinois. Mm-hmm. He was like, this is, like, perfect. My dream job. I'm married. Now I can, like, settle down in a suburb and get my life started. So they're trying to have kids, and unfortunately, it's just not happening.
It's not happening for them. Okay.
It's not happening for them. As you can imagine, this is devastating news for them. Especially when you have it in your mind what your life is going to look like, and especially when you come from big families. You know, you already kind of have that imprint, that pressure of what life should look like and kind of like how it should unfold. So you can imagine Donna's devastated. She goes to the doctor to see, like, is something wrong? Like, what's the issue? Right. KS. And guess what? Unfortunately, she finds out that she's unable to have children.
Oh, damn. Okay. That's right.
And this is devastating news. Mm-hmm. You know, like, there's no way around this one.
she's kind of shook too, because she's like, what's this gonna do to my marriage? You know, like my life.
Well, that's
moving
unfair.
forward.
She shouldn't have had to feel that. I get the
But
question.
women do feel that, yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like, if I no longer align with the life that you envision for yourself, do I become disposable, or do you love me regardless? Like, that's a really
That's
serious
fucked
question
up.
that comes up.
Ladies, leave your man at home. Okay, because this is that no man should ever make you feel like that. You're more than
Right.
that. It's about you,
Yeah.
not your capabilities or whatever the fuck. I hate that she
Yeah.
had to deal with that on top of
the
grieving
news. Yeah. And so, as you can imagine, this was rough on them. Like, years had passed at this point. I think like 6 years of them trying.
And that's a lot of heartbreak along the way.
A lot of heartbreak, and it just wasn't happening. And now the news, you know. So, unfortunately, this really was a point of contention in their household. Like, her family was saying, like, they were arguing about this. Like, it was rough on them. It wasn't something that they took lightly, and it really wasn't something that they could see a way around, you know? Like, and it was devastating for them, because they had had such a beautiful connection, you know? So this thing kind of
Why didn't they want to adopt?
Well, this is where the story changes. So 6 years into their marriage, after she had found this news, it was almost like serendipitous. She's in the operating room.
Y'all motherfuckers got the money.
Right.
Big
This is
Jewish
the
families.
90s.
But also, and not everyone believes in that too.
Back then.
But not everyone believes in that too. Some people
That's
are
true.
like, you know, especially for religious beliefs. But it was kind of trippy, because she's in the operating room one afternoon, and one of the physicians comes in.
Don't tell me she stole a baby, friend.
No. One of the physicians comes in and says, hey, so I have a young teen mother who wants to put her baby up for adoption. And the physician kind of looks around the operating room and is like, is there anyone in here? Yeah, right? Anyone in here that happens to maybe know a family?
Who wants a baby, y'all?
Ain't that kind of trippy? How you like, everybody wants a baby.
This sounds
but
weird.
the physician was like, you know, the teen mom had come to him, and he wanted to make sure that they got the baby properly placed. So he asked if there's anyone in the operating room that knew of a family and maybe were interested themselves. And of course, Donna's like, what the fuck? Like,
she dropped that scalpel. I'll take it.
Yeah, mine.
You heard her tool. You heard the tools hitting that tile.
But think about this: for her to be going through what she's going through, and this be her shift, like, this is her shift of many shifts, and he comes in to ask her. She just felt like, if this kid isn't mine, then I don't know what to tell you. And she says yes. And when she talks to Mark about it, he is over the fucking moon. Like, and that made me happy, because I'm like, I didn't know if he was gonna be like, oh, but it's not biological. You know, some people have different feelings towards adoption, but they both were so happy. In the Jewish faith, you do like name ceremonies when you have babies, and they named her Bailey. And she was like a 3-month-old beautiful little baby, and Bailey means blessing. So clearly
that's why you put it in your coffee.
No, you didn't. And so you can imagine they were so happy. Like, Donna and the baby were bonding, and you see like all these home videos in the documentary. Like, the dad was filming everything. You know, those back in the day, the camcorders.
Like Aretha Franklin. She always had a camcorder.
He's filming them sitting around. He's filming them feeding. He's filming her with her grandparents. Like, they're just so happy. This is literally what they had always envisioned. And just like Bailey's name, this was like truly a blessing. So 3 months into the adoption, right? You know, everything's going really well. Donna was on the phone with her mother, and she told her that Mark, the husband, had to go away on a like nuclear engineer conference that was gonna kind of be long. And the mom was like, wait a minute, take advantage that he's gonna be gone and come home to Florida. Like, let us spend some time with the baby. That way you're not in the house alone, you know? And she actually had a best friend who I forgot to mention, who is one of her coworkers turned best friend, this lady named Deanne, who really stepped up, because she like had children and was married, and was like helping her with the baby, and just like really being there for her. Like,
why?
But it's your best friend. If your best friend has a baby, you're gonna step in and really be like, I want to make sure you're good.
Yeah.
Have everything you need. You know, so even though she was like, "Oh, mom, I'm cool. Like my best friend's here," but the mom's like, "Yeah, but we want to like spend time. So come down." She's like, "You know what?"
Best friend.
She's like, "I want to come down." No, the best friend was like,
I'm just
good.
suspicious of everything, so I'm trying to let
You
her
are.
get to it. I swear, I just
Fred,
Fred,
husband going away.
Me,
Right.
Fred, are you hooking up with me or
Get
not?
with it now because I can't really deal with all this up and down.
Let me get a job to do, so I'm trying to let you get through it.
Like,
So.
who the fuck?
I love seeing y'all's faces because y'all are like, "What is the motherfucking plot twist?" So Donna packs up the baby because it's her best friend's baby. She packs the baby up. They jump on their flight. They spend a couple of weeks.
She went down to Donna's mama's house, the best friend?
No. The best friend was like, "Girl, do your thing." Like, it was Donna, the mom, and the baby. They packed up and headed down to Florida to spend some time.
The best friend gave permission.
No, she didn't give permission, but it was just like, "You're good. Like, whatever you need. Like, you just keep me posted, sis." So.
Did she fucking her man?
She heads down there. No, hold on. She heads down there.
Oh my God. Is he right?
Y'all putting things on
bitches like that. You know what I'm saying? Who just...
It's the best friend helping. I would help y'all with y'all baby.
I would help you too, but you wouldn't.
You would come help me.
You have a question.
So wait. So she heads down. It's a beautiful trip. As you can imagine, just as Donna and Mark are over the moon about this baby, y'all know how parents are about their grandbabies.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Over the moon because they were kind of sad. They didn't know if they would ever even be able to play this role. And so this was like really monumental for them as well as like her sisters. They are not
Everybody's happy. Yeah.
Everybody is so happy. So the trip comes to an end, and this part I will say I didn't necessarily understand the logic, but I mean, I don't know, maybe it's something people do, but the parents say that they put Donna on a flight from Florida to St. Louis, and then in St. Louis, they had a driver.
Alright, so I feel like I'm done.
To then drive her 2 hours to Springfield.
Like, I think this is enough pearls.
Is there no airport in Springfield?
I mean, is it Springfield like a
Can you
big
Google and
city?
see if Springfield? It's a moderate size city.
Right.
Can you look up and see if there's what's the closest airport to Springfield, Illinois?
Because I just thought that was so weird. Like, why would she
think this
get off
is
of a plane?
enough pearls. I don't want to overdo it, but it's definitely like more at the top going into the bottom.
And
when she originally flew to Hollywood, Florida.
And
These
that's
are
my
the
point.
pearls.
Originally, she flew from Springfield straight to her parents' house. So I
Listening
didn't
to this
understand
murder
that.
mystery.
That detail was a little bit confusing for me. And I don't know if that's something people do in that area.
And now I'm about to sew.
Fuck all the bullshit. What the fuck is
Strips.
it? But so when she gets to St. Louis, the parents had hired
It is a 2-hour drive.
This was the glue I
It is a 2 hour
used.
Closest airport?
Well, no, from Springfield to
from St. Louis to Springfield.
Yeah, I just wanted to know about that, but I don't see an airport there.
But like, why did they do that? Why didn't she just fly straight?
Because I want to know what the closest airport is to Springfield.
And then her mom said,
Little airport.
basically, he called Bart.
Brian.
He's not you.
Before you get to tweaking out. And it's her mama's fault.
That would tell him to do things, bad things.
I just fast forwarded put it to the part of the podcast where she said her driver was weird.
He's telling her that it has encouraged him to like start car bombs, pushed him to kill people. Here's the part I didn't get. He's telling her this, and she stayed in this car ride for 2 hours.
She probably didn't want to piss him off.
She must have been talking about her demons back or something. Like, oh,
no,
yeah.
she said she
like
was shook. No, she was like,
well,
she didn't even know.
Why did she stay in this car?
She was like, she didn't even know how to react. And I get it. Sometimes you freeze because you're like, if I react, I'm with my baby.
She should have started hissing. You gotta be the one to make them afraid. So I would have started there. Like doing some shit to make them think I was one too, bitch. You got me fucked.
Okay.
Yes, we both demons. I'd have been like that.
I've been lying my ass off like, yeah, you know, my demon be telling me
shit.
I I'd be like, your demon, you're allowed to talk about your demon. My sister,
I
allowed to
took
talk about it.
Say, I done took my shoes off. You know what I'm saying?
Please.
Started putting my toenails in the back of the seats and shit. Everything I could do, I'd have been a fucking chupacabra on his ass. I hate
Hanging
look,
on
Look,
the window.
you know the demon code, right? Like, we don't attack each other. You know that, right? All right, cool.
Or be like, oh, I would have been like, you hear Dom too?
No, I wasn't acting like I know
Let's
Dom.
bond.
Because he'd be like, you're lying. That's not what Dom said. It's like, well, bitch, I don't see no Dom, bitch. I'm trying to get the fuck away from you. Like, what?
But y'all, is it just me? But I felt like, would you stay for the
Well, how
rest
do you
of this
escape?
car ride? Wait, and then let him drop you off in front of your house?
I would have took that
Granted,
baby.
he had the address already because it's a driver, so he asked out at that point. But I just feel like I would not have been able to complete
Me
the 2
either.
hours.
And this is, you want to talk about ass out. I'd have took that little diaper down and got to burping my baby and let that projectile, a motherfucking mustard yellow baby shit.
You have to make pit stops, right? You gotta get gas, you gotta go get food. I would have
got out of there. We've got to get out of here now. The baby's been shitted out the seats. Let's go.
And this isn't even the worst of it. He's like flirting with her too. And he starts telling her that he loves older women and how he tends to have like sex parties.
He called her older.
Sex parties.
He tells her that he likes sex parties, especially with older women, and he told her to pull up. He was like, you wanna come with me? And she was like, no. Like, I'm literally married. You see me with my baby. You're dropping me off home to my family. Like, I'm not interested. You know, she's trying to be cool.
Right.
Because he has her life
Oh, I know she hate her mother.
Oh my God. And that's why I was like, why did they have this damn driver pick her up? She could have flown.
Mama Tambien.
I was just not understanding that part. So she gets home. Luckily, she's safe.
Thank God.
Yeah, she gets home. She makes it home.
I did not think they was going. In my mind, they was on a head out on the highway. They was still on the highway. In my mind.
A side quest. No, she, by the grace of God, makes it home. She, of course, calls her sisters and mom immediately, like, bitch, you will never believe.
Right.
The shit that the harrowing car ride that I just had. So her sister.
So did she curse on mama out?
She didn't, because you know at the end of the day it wasn't their fault.
You said what the fuck it was.
But her sisters were like, "Look, you made it home safe. That's the most important part. You know, like let's just be grateful for that, and let's just like forget about it." But just like Asante said, she starts getting phone calls.
No, that was Dustin that said that.
No, I thought I just heard you say, did he start calling her?
I said that he started stalking her.
Well, both, yes. She starts getting harassing phone calls.
What was he saying on the phone?
I don't know. They didn't say.
That's not funny.
So, of course, at this point, when her husband got back, he was like, what the fuck? Like, what happened?
Like, what's been going on
This
here?
supposed to be a trip home. How you end up with a damn stalker? Like, he just wasn't understanding. So he told her, listen, we're going to have to get right now everything. Like, everything he said, try to remember all the details. I'm going to contact the car company because this is fucked. Like, they should have vetted this man better if he's going to be driving people to their homes.
Not the police. This motherfucker calling the car company. Okay.
Well, yeah, he called her.
You gotta check the credentials of the drivers, okay?
Right.
I thought y'all back them before y'all let them drive on the air.
I feel you. Or whatever. But my right eye. This nigga is crazy. The first motherfucker you need to call the goddamn police and let them call that car.
And file a report. Right.
Yeah.
Just cover all your bases.
Yeah, your cruiser outside. You got a baby in the house. This nigga
That's
ain't
real.
He's a bitch.
I don't know. He was trying to be real and like get his contact information so he could pull up on him. So we going Fred.
Wait,
Then he's
hold on.
stupid.
So she writes everything down. He contacts the car company and lets them know what the situation is, and they fire Roger.
Oh shit.
Exactly.
Now he's set up.
Now he is set
He has
up.
more time on his
He
hands.
ain't got no money to go to the
Just
sex
FYI,
party.
this
He
is
knows where she lives.
what I'm
So
listening
shit
to.
is fucked. I kind of got nervous. I was like, was that the smart move? I don't know. But you also want to protect other people from being in this car. So, like, I kind of understand And the husband's trying to be protective. So it's like, what is the right thing to do in a situation like that?
The right thing to do is call the goddamn police. That's the right thing to do. Listen, hello.
Right.
You call the police.
Help
and then
us
have them
figure
have some
out what to do with this situation. Right.
Yeah.
That's true.
Unless you a gangster, he don't sound like no.
Some shit.
He don't sound like he had them kind of connection. So nigga we talking about should have called the fucking police. That's what he should have done.
So here's what happens. So he gets fired. So of course they're kind of shook, right? Because they're like, we don't know how crazy he is, but hopefully, this gloves. And it's just a crazy
So I'm
guy.
gonna use this glove as like a layout.
So about 6 days later,
cute 12-inch.
6 days later, the Mark, the husband, right? He's like down in the basement, running on a treadmill that they have down there, and he hears some like weird commotion in the house. Right, but he's not sure too because he's on the treadmill. He's like, "Am I tripping?" So stops the treadmill, heads upstairs, and fucking sees the guy, Roger, in the kitchen with a hammer, beating the shit out of his wife. So of course he runs and, luckily they were smart enough to have, and it's Florida. No, they were in Springfield. He got a gun and shoots the motherfucker. Like, shoot him in the head, calls 911 screaming like, yo, like, y'all gotta get here. He attacked my wife. It's the guy. So the cops come. To make matters worse, the detective that comes is like, oh my God, like he knows of that Roger dude, the driver. He's like, that motherfucker's crazy. Yeah, like he's like,
my God.
Apparently the detective owns like a trailer park in the area, and Roger rents a trailer from him, and he was like, we stayed having to get the police out there because he's married and has like domestic disputes.
Wait, hold on. Roger is the driver?
Yes.
With the demon dog?
Yes.
He is married?
Is a married man.
Okay, alright.
And the detective was like, he's volatile. Like, I know exactly who he is. And he was like, there's really nothing fucking to investigate. Like, I know this dude is crazy as fuck. And considering the story that the wife had already, called the sisters and the mom, and she had everything written down. Remember, they sent. So, like, the dots just connected.
Was Roger shot to death?
Here's the thing. He was shot to death, and then the wife unfortunately died on the way. So they both died. So you can imagine Mark is tripping balls because, like Dustin said, he probably should have taken different steps. You know what I mean? To protect, and he just realizes like he didn't go about this how he should have. But they're both dead, right? So the dad. Oh, I'm trying to see. Oh yeah, I already said like the detective Cox and said about Roger, right? So the case.
We smoking on that. What was her name?
That Roger pack.
What was the other wife's name?
Donna.
We smoking on that Donna pack.
Man, so the case was closed. I mean, like Detective Cox said, ain't nothing to figure out.
Oh yes, the fuck it was. Number one, how the fuck did she end up in that car? Right? How the fuck did he end up as her driver?
That part I just wasn't. It just something was not working for me in that part.
Was this a hit? Was this a setup? What the fuck happened? There's more to this story.
Especially because it was her mom, her parents, that called this company instead of the driver.
Was that his baby? Was he that baby's real father?
Dustin been watching too much Tyler Perry. Hold on. So the case is closed in 48 hours, y'all. They don't do nothing. It's just closed. So in the Jewish faith, right, the first night of someone's passing, her dad was saying how you have a prayer service, right? And everyone comes together, like they all flew out there, they have their prayer service, and they said that Mark comes in with the baby, and of course everyone's just crying. Like the whole family, because he's just feeling like shit, like he's like, I really fucked this shit up. Like I didn't protect my family how I should have. And they're all like, they said that he was in such a bad space. Like there was a rabbi there that was like, he was trying to kind of walk him through the guilt and the sadness of not being able to save his wife and not, moving through this properly. And
rabbi he's just soft.
He said he just was like taking it. but this is their faith, you know.
Yeah.
So Donna's mom and her sisters, they began taking turns traveling from Florida to Springfield to help with the baby. Because as you can
Which one of
imagine,
them ended up with him?
I was about to say, did they take this car service too?
no, as you
Was
can
he
imagine,
fucking the best friend? Did one of them
hold
catch him
on.
in a relationship with the best friend?
No. They're coming.
He was
They're
in a
taking
relationship
care
with
of the
Roger.
baby. As you can imagine, not only is he solo with a baby, but he's also grieving. So they wanted to make sure that they kind of scheduled shit out. Like it's two sisters and the mom, so one would come, the other one would then come, and like they kept
Rotation.
a rotation. But as you can imagine, that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Like they have their own families, they have their jobs, and
It's
coming from
expensive.
Florida,
Yeah.
to Illinois to do this wasn't the best long term plan. This is a baby. That this baby's gonna need this
Where was
type
his
of
damn
attention.
family?
They were in Ohio and Florida.
That's closer to Orlando.
But yeah,
I mean,
but
closer
did,
to Illinois.
But I did think that was weird that they didn't mention his family at being a part of this. Yeah, like they weren't even in the documentary at all. So I don't know. Maybe he just didn't have this close.
I thought he came from such a big Jewish family.
And it was the brother that hooked him up with Donna.
Yeah,
so,
where his motherfucking ass at?
Weird. They literally never mentioned it. So
Man, who the fuck produced this?
so the mom and the sisters, they're noticing that like he's just so sad. They're like, we really don't know how to help him. They said he started drinking.
Don't tell me Dom didn't jump on.
They're like,
no.
He's like at bars. They say he started watching like dark ass movie. He was just depressed. Like
Turn MAGA.
I did laugh though because the mom was like, he was watching movies like Pulp Fiction. I was like,
grow up, Mom.
So
You wanna watch Bambi?
they're trying to honor and hold space. You know, everyone grieves differently. They didn't want to judge, but they also were like, what the fuck do we do? So they told him, you know what? We think that you should hire help, like someone that is here daily. They all would come together and contribute. They were like some kind of nanny.
The best
you
friend.
know, preferably preferably a live-in nanny. So he's like, you know what? They kind of come together to help him, and he does find a nanny. But to their dismay, this nanny is like this beautiful young Jewish. She's pretty. It's like a pretty young girl.
So it's not Roger's wife.
No, it's not Roger's wife.
Is it the mama of the baby?
No, hold on.
No, she.
No. The mama of the baby died.
The birth mother?
The teen.
Oh, the teen. No. That would have been a plot twist. Damn. No.
Well, look,
We on the tape. If you was in front of me, my nigga, I'd dap you up right now. I'd be like, okay, Chloe, hi.
Anything. I'm waiting. We twisted and turning.
I want to know what the fuck going on.
Okay, so this beautiful young girl named Rebecca Simic, right?
Okay, well, you can fucking shit.
And the family was kind of torn when they saw her because it was like, wait a minute, she's
Ain't
a
nothing
little
wrong with it.
cute.
Okay,
And if she
little
gonna be
sexual
living
healing.
there, they were nervous, but at the same time, she was like really sweet.
That's exactly
and
what he needs. Right.
she
Speaking
was
my
sweet.
language,
There was a quote where Rebecca said, I was blown away at what this little girl had been through in her life in such a short time. She lost two mothers by the time she was only 3 months old, and she was still always a happy, smiling baby. I wanted to get in there and say, I'm going to help, and I'm going to make this little girl's life better. So she was really pure and sweet and loved loved her. They showed home videos of her, like, bathing her, taking her out, like teaching her. Everything was great. The family, even though they felt
her, yeah.
beautiful, yeah, and even though the family kind of felt the way she was like, quote unquote, a replacement, yeah, but they were like, at the end of the day, hello, they suggested it. He just did what they suggested, and at the end of the day, it was about Bailey being
When
taken
did they
care
start fucking?
No.
Well, hold on.
This I just checked for the
So the only pushback Rebecca mentions that she received was from Deanne, Donna's best friend.
Oh Lord.
Cause she was like,
about Deanne.
yeah, Deanne shot her way. Cause she was like, you don't get to just come into my best friend's crib. Like her body ain't even cold. You know how old people say the body ain't even cold yet. you living in the house playing mom to this baby? Like, she was not fucking with it. She thought it was weird.
How quickly did she move in? Like, was
This
it
was
like
like a couple months. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like maybe like 4 or 5 months later.
Some 3 to 6 months.
And she was like, it's one thing to have a nanny, and it's another thing to move into someone's crib and essentially be their mom. She like
That's called a
just didn't
live-in
want it.
nanny. Grow up, Deanna, bitch. Do you
She
want the
didn't like
nigga or
it.
what?
She didn't like
She
it, and
stole the
Rebecca
baby?
said, no. Rebecca said out of everybody, she was the only one that was like giving her kind of a hard time about it. But he told her, like, listen, you gotta kind of understand her. He was like, you gotta kind of understand, like, that's her best friend. Like, of course she's gonna be the one to be like, fuck this setup, you know?
She might be like the godmother, you know?
Right, and they were really close. Like, she was always there, and she just didn't like this setup at all. So a couple months pass, and Mark, the husband, calls the mom and lets them know that Rebecca, the live-in nanny, is pregnant. The family's like, what the fuck? That's not what we told you to do, brother.
I can't
Like,
And they've been paying her all this time.
Yep.
the fuck?
The giving keeps on giving, baby.
Yep.
But Rebecca says that although, yes, you know, she low-key slipped up, but she said that the weird part was that he told her he couldn't have kids.
Bitch.
Wait a minute.
The weird part was that you was fucking him.
Hold on, wait.
At work.
Well, she didn't find that weird.
Right. She didn't find that
The
weird
weird
at all.
part is that she got scammed and conned.
Like, why would he? Did he think it was his fault that old girl before couldn't get pregnant? I thought that he knew.
No, I low-key think he borrowed her story, his wife's story, to get his way and hopefully get this young girl pregnant so he could get that life.
That was so cute. Borrow.
He was like, a little bit from here, a little bit from there.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's what
Okay.
I ain't calling the baby stupid. I'm just saying the fact that they having a baby is stupid.
Yeah, so now that she's pregnant, she said that he's kind of like, we should get married. Like, I'm not trying to be your boyfriend. Like, I take shit like this serious. Like, I'm with family, I'm with wife. And she said to him, don't you think it's kind of tricky that you're like moving on this quickly? Like, how's that gonna look? And he tells her, when you have a good marriage, it's natural for you to want that again. Or when you had a good marriage, I should say. And she was like,
you know.
Wow.
She was like,
well,
I kind of,
because
him and old girl were great up until, up until
but
the tension
you
with
know,
the baby.
where you get that?
Some the rabbi had told him.
You trying to again them soft ass rabbis.
Yeah.
You need to be just say what the fuck it is. Don't try to attribute this to something attached to you having a wife. No. You had a hot dick, you started fucking the baby.
And you don't want to look at crazy
and now
out
she's
here,
pregnant,
so you
right?
want to make it
So
right.
say that. Say what it is. I can't stand no sneaky ass nigga which makes me how was he involved in death?
So he tells her, like, we should get married, bro. And she's like, you know what? She said she was young and impressionable, so she said, okay. And she marries him, and they end up moving out, because they were still living in the house, which I thought was so gruesome.
Yeah,
like, why would you still live in a house with someone
down.
and you're still gonna live there? And she even said that sometimes when she was like playing with the baby, she would wonder, like, is this where she was laying? Is this where he was laying? Like, she just was like, it's creepy. But that was the house. She said she always felt like she was kind of in the middle of this chaos.
And she was.
She was. So they moved. They end up getting like a really beautiful country house, like out in the country, and he's like done with the city. He's like, all this shit is just too much stimulation. They move out to the country. They end up having 3 kids total.
Okay.
So he gets the big family he wanted. They have Bailey, that's the oldest, and then 3 kids of their own. So it's 4 children. No. They all loved each other. They had a little boy and 2 little girls. And weird enough though, like, he kind of was like not fucking with his ex-wife's game. Like, he sort of felt like, I want to just kind of cut y'all off and start new.
I'm sure they probably weren't nice to him. They didn't appreciate that shit. They
didn't like that. They didn't like that, but they still were like, that's our granddaughter. You don't get to just like cut us off because now you have a new mom for her. Yes, she was adopted, and yes, our daughter only was with her for 3 months, but like that's still a grandchild. Yeah, and he was like, no, the fuck you're not. Actually, essentially telling them like, I'm starting my new life. You're not welcome. Like, I think it's too much for Bailey. If she's gonna move forward, if I'm gonna move forward, then this is just what needs to happen. So of course the family's devastated because they lost their daughter and now they lost their grandchild and were completely cut off. So
They killed
so they're out in the country.
Because remember, Bailey was adopted initially anyway, so I wonder if he's just acting like. I wonder how Bailey got the story. If she got the story.
Right. So
Like,
they're in
they
their
were
new
your
life.
grandparents, but they're not your grandparents.
But they're
She
not
in there on Roblox.
So
She don't know.
is Rebecca's family involved?
But that's hard too because she's just getting pulled from people.
Yeah.
At such a young age, like just loss after loss after loss.
Yep.
Yeah, and
that's probably why he decided that. He was like, "This is too much," because then
that's
it's
what
like
he said. He was like,
Rebecca's
"It's just a
family
lot."
and you, and then
Right.
y'all not gonna want to see the other kids that we have. So.
Right, y'all feel away. Like let me move forward with my life, and so that's kind of understandable. Yeah, harsh.
Just like how he should have called the cops. Like I still feel like something else should have happened here, but
right. So
He should have kept his dick out the babysitter.
They're in their
absolutely.
I mean that part, and she's hella young. So they're in their new life. Everything's great. He decides.
If you're hearing this in your Rolls Royce, then Donald Trump's tax plan is for you.
I'm rich as hell. Look at it, tax cut.
But for everyone else, there's Kamala Harris's plan.
Under my plan, more than 100 million Americans.
You were the hero, so he's like, and then he tells him, "Oh, I know, but."
All right, so I'm gonna need to add fabric to make the fingers a little bit looser.
Like, I'm gonna file this wrongful death suit, and we need all the evidence. And so he's kind of like, "Oh, well, have your people, reach out. There's policies around this. There's protocol." So he does just that. But he says that Mark, outside of that, kind of kept like coming around and like asking questions, like, and he said he felt weird about it. He's like, okay, the case is closed. You were the hero. You're about to file this wrongful death suit. Why do you keep asking? Like, what is it that you want to know? Like, yeah. So they started feeling like, what the fuck is going on here?
So they looked his ass up.
So they start, kind of being like, let's pay attention. Something is up. Something's not feeling right. There's a little bit of an uneasiness, right?
Did they say what type of questions he was asking, or that he is
just like if they? No, they said that he was asking like, are y'all still like trying to figure out any details about it? Which didn't make sense to me because I'm like, well, what's there to figure out if Roger killed her? You killed Roger. Case is closed. But he apparently was just seeing if they were still investigating in any capacity. So they were kind of like, what the fuck? The case been closed. Like,
and if we were, like, what the fuck
we would tell you.
Yo, like, what?
Right. So, but he felt weird about that because he was like, most people, Detective Cox was like, most people, when cases are closed, you literally never hear from them again.
Right.
Like, they want to be as far removed as possible from that tragedy and just move the fuck on. So, Mark hits his rabbi and tells him that he's converting to Christianity.
Is Rebecca's family Christian?
Yes. And the rabbi's like, why? Like, are you struggling with your faith because of everything, like so shaken up? It's like, I just feel like Judaism is difficult and unforgiving. And the rabbi tells him, well, what do you need forgiveness for? Like, talk to me. He didn't know if maybe this had to do with the fact that he did kill someone. Like, even if you had to, but at the end of the day, that's not something that I'm sure you just go to sleep at night and kind of like shake off, And he's just like, no, I feel like outside of us moving and getting married and like our baby, our new life, I feel like I need a complete overhaul. Like, just with everything. Like, clearly he's completely disassociating. That's how I viewed it from his past life, right? So that he can move on. So that was strange, but that rabbi was like, I support it, whatever you need to do. So now, like, him and Rebecca are Christians and they're going to church, and like, he really is moving forward with his life. So a couple years passed. I think it was like 3 years passed, and Rebecca said that one day Mark was telling her he didn't feel really good. He wanted to go to the emergency room. So she's like, let's go. What's going on? They go to the emergency room and they bump into Deanne, the best friend.
Oh God.
And she said when she saw her, Deanne literally looked at them like a fucking bitch. Like it triggered her all over again. Like, now I see you with your new wife. Like, you guys really fucking got married and have kids. Like, she just was like blacked. Yeah, like she
I thought you were
blacked
gonna
out.
say Deanne was pregnant. Like he was going to the hospital because Deanne was pregnant by him.
I did think that too. I was like, how was she there at the same time? Like, something about that felt sketch, but apparently it was purely coincidental. Deanne saw them and fucking blacked. So
She jumped on her.
no, but she just like was pissed. Like, she went off on him, but she didn't, do anything to her. Right. You homewrecker.
And you said you loved her.
So Deanne, triggered by this, so fucking triggered by this, snaps. She goes straight to the police, Detective Cox. Remember, Detective Cox was already feeling a little weird about this thing.
You said something was up with his best friend. Hold on.
And she admits to Detective Cox that her and Mark had been having an affair.
You will see, Dustin, you caught that.
Oh, with it? I've been trying to tell y'all.
They were having an affair because apparently she was having marital problems, and Donna, being her best friend, was like, maybe Mark can talk to your husband and like mediate, we'll help you guys through it. But apparently through that quote unquote mediation, shit got romantic between them.
Intercourse.
Yes. And she said that he would say shit like, it would be so much easier. Like, life would just be so perfect if we could be together. And if Donna just fucking died. Like,
oh, wait a minute.
All you'd have to do is come in and find the body. Like, let's just figure it out. This is what the Deanne is telling Detective Cox. Mark told her. So she says she declined. She was like, what the fuck are you talking about? She said she really didn't think he meant it. Which killed me, because I'm like, do people playfully say
Which
shit like
killed that girl.
Okay.
Which killed the mama. What's her name?
Donna.
Which killed Donna. That's, oh my God. Ooh. The blood is on her hands. Okay, come on. Let's let it all out.
So she says that after Mark had learned about that creepy ass driver and him calling and all this shit, he was like, I have to get that driver in my house. I have to get him in my house. So he calls Roger under the guise of, we want to make amends for you losing your job. Come to the house.
No.
Okay? And Deanne said that at the day of the murder, he literally called her before it happened and said, will you love me no matter what? And she said yes. And so Roger, thinking that maybe they're going to help him get his job back, because those stalking calls and shit weren't even him. Yeah, he had a fucked up, weird, twisted-ass convo with her in the car, yes. But he was not stalking her after. He was not calling her after. This was all completely created by Mark as an alibi.
He didn't call the car company to get him fired, or maybe he did.
No, I'm sure he did. He absolutely did, because this is part of the story. This is actually why he was so pressed for her to write everything down, remember?
Yep.
Because this is like, he was setting all of this up. So this is where the detectives had fucked up. Because they were so quick, based on his prior experience with Roger, to be like, oh yeah, they didn't do no work. They didn't even notice. Here's what the evidence, once they reopened the case.
They actually fucking investigated.
And actually paid attention. There was a note, the written note, that Roger had jotted down Mark Winger, 430, and the home address in the car. And his own roommate said, and she had been interviewed, mind you, she had been interviewed by the cops, but they didn't pay attention. She said he was invited to that house. I was next to him when he received a call. Someone told him to come, and he wrote a man's name down, wrote the time and the address, and they completely disregarded that.
Oh.
They disregarded the Polaroid of that note in his car saying Mark Winger 430 on the home address. If he came to kill her premeditated, why would he have Mark Winger's name, a time, and an address, and a phone call
They should be in
of
jail
invitation?
for life.
The
That should be
detectives?
punishable. Yep, that should be
I
punishable
do,
by law.
because all they got to say was, we fucked up.
Right, my bad.
And they were apologetic about it. Not only this, but there was also the Polaroids, right, of the scene that showed that his body, the way it was laying, did not align with the story.
Him having hit her with a hammer.
Exactly, because if he was on top of her and they got shot, why were they laying on separate sides of the kitchen table?
So you mean to tell me he beat her with the... So this motherfucker beat his own wife with the hammer and shot that guy.
He had him come in, and here's another piece of evidence. There was no forced entry.
Yep.
And Roger had come into the house with a mug of coffee and a pack of cigarettes. If someone's coming to kill someone, why would they come over with a mug of coffee and a pack of cigarettes and put it down on the table?
Wow.
To sit and talk, because he came thinking he was going to sit and talk real quick up the road or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that was in the Polaroid. The way his body was laying, her body, the cup of coffee that was from Roger's crib, the note in the car, all of this.
Damn. And then the driver is dead for... They both just dead for nothing.
For nothing.
The driver and the wife, because of him and her fucking nasty asses having sex that they wasn't supposed to be having. Yep. God
and
damn.
But the part that killed me is that her best friend knew all this and didn't say anything. She never said anything, but that's so fucking dark. Like, even after she was killed, she didn't say, because this is years. Mind you, this is years later. He's 100%. Had Rebecca, he's married with kids. Like, this is years later. And the only reason she told...
Because she's jealous.
Exactly. And the only reason she told was she got triggered at the dang hospital because he ended up marrying someone else.
I'm thinking that she's pissed for her best friend, but she's pissed for her damn self.
Okay.
Her fucked up ass.
Because she didn't get the man she wanted.
Dirty
and she even admitted that even after the murder, they were still fucking.
Yeah.
They were actually still fucking for months up until he met Rebecca.
Yeah.
And
until he met or married?
It was a little blurry, but I would say met because the time frame she said they fucked for like 4 or 5 months after, and that's kind of when the nanny came in.
She came in.
Yeah.
So did she get prosecuted, Deanna?
No, because for her giving them the motive and the confession in the case, she was given immunity.
Oh my God. Well, she got immunity on this side. Hey, Donna, get your haunting boots on. Put your haunting boots on. It's time to start get you a cauldron, and it's time to get to work. It's time for
but you know what's trippy? So of course the family, they're like, wait.
Yeah, they're
ain't no way. But they didn't believe it. To be honest, they were like, there's no way. Y'all got this shit so fucked up. Like, there's just no way. Because the family was saying he was such a great husband. Like, they were like, it's different if you hear, like, stories of abuse or things that could have led up. But if everything's great, how does someone just go from this to that?
Because he was fucking the neighbor.
But they still just were like, this don't make no sense. You gotta
be a special kind of stupid.
Even Rebecca, the nanny he married, was like, yo, I don't believe... Like, no one believed it. No one believed it. And then to make matters worse, because the detectives had fucked up the first time...
They get fingerprinted?
No. Because they fucked up the first time, they were like, we're going to have to really take our time and get this second go-round right. Because we super fucked up. So it took them a while to get the blood spatter evidence, everything to go how they needed it to go. And so
they should have did in the first place.
So it took like a year. Mm-hmm. And within this year, of course, the family and even Rebecca, like, he didn't do it because they can't even get this case together. If he's still at work, they're still at their house, a year has passed, so no one's believing it at this point. But then the local newspaper this 4 years later after her passing at this point, they wrote the story letting the community know what the fuck actually went down. And once that paper went out, that's when the family and Rebecca were like, wait a minute.
Their asses on blast.
Yeah.
That's what it.
So
that's
what did
what
Rebecca do with them
once
kids?
the paper went out.
But
If
Rebecca
my
felt
fucking sister
right.
was, God forbid, I'm not even gonna finish the sentence because I don't even want to utter those words.
No.
Right.
There's no way in hell I would not have been like alerted and pursued the curiosity that was birthed.
Even if
from
he
me.
showed no signs ever.
I don't give a fuck about no. Yeah, right. Even if he showed no signs, evidence and investigation, scientific evidence, you can't. Like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you argue with that? Why
But
would
it
you want to
really
see that through, or at
I'm
least
telling you,
test the
nobody-
validity of the information?
Nobody wanted to believe it because apparently
That's
his
crazy.
character
What about his brother?
was
Did they
just
talk to
not
him?
in alignment. No, I'm telling you, his family was just not in
So
talk.
that
They
was
probably ain't fuck
that
with
was
because they knew he was crazy.
Yeah,
They-
well, he was
they
probably
just were
crazy
not
and already
in
cut all them off. Now
I
that
wondered that too. Like
now that I hear how crazy he is, he probably
they
once he got
probably
with
knew some
Donna,
shit, but then
they-
why would they hook him up with her? Like y'all
Well,
part of the problem.
To get them off of their hands.
yeah, he got with Donna and they both was like, all right, we good on each other, and so then he had Donna, and then he was like, well, now I'm good on this bitch because I'm fucking the best friend or
Bye.
Deanna.
They put him
Yeah.
back in that backseat of that Uber and closed that door so fast.
So they
Bye.
were like, you know, even though a year had passed, like they were still watching him. Actually, Rebecca said this cop was like up the road from their house, and Mark got in his car and fucking followed the cop back all the way back to the city because he was like, "Who is that?" And then the cop said he stopped the car, and Mark was like, "Leave me the fuck alone! Like, leave me and my family the fuck alone!" Like, still seemingly no remorse over anything. But a few days after that, he was indicted, and a warrant was issued for his arrest, and he was arrested at work.
How much time did they give him?
Mark was sentenced to life in prison with
Yes.
no parole
Yes.
on 2 counts because obviously he killed both of
Fuck
them.
people.
Yep.
But wait, there's one last twist.
Oh, not another one, friend. I can't
Plus-
take it.
Plus an added 35 years because he passed a fellow inmate and tried to hire someone to kill Deanne for flipping on him and to kill a best friend of his who refused to pay his bail.
All right. Just desperate at the end.
So he tried to hire
Now, the
for
end.
murder.
Right.
I'll get you when you're right.
And to this day, Mark, he actually appeared at the end of the documentary, and he says to this day that he's innocent. He's like, y'all tried to turn this shit into something that it absolutely is not. Like the first iteration of this case was exactly what happened. And
So
y'all
now
had
Deanne is
me.
lying.
And he said they all lying.
So
They
Deanne
all
just made
lying.
that up.
All of it is a fucking lie. He said they just needed a fall guy. So to this day, he claims he is innocent.
Cry baby, suck your mama titty. You did it. And don't nobody feel sorry for you. We're not gonna waste our time. The same carelessness that they expressed during the investigation that had your ass skating is free, and now that's being applied to your cries and begging pleas for an investigation. Fuck you.
And they
Rot in
said,
hell.
the family said that even when he showed up in court, they were like, he was super smug. Like walking up down the aisle, like confident, almost arrogant, almost like he didn't think he was gonna be guilty. Like he's like, nah, I'm good.
Now, my next question. In the update, did they show if Rebecca allowed Bella, or what the baby?
Bailey
To be around her mother's
She did.
family? She did.
Yep, she said
good.
that one thing she reconnected was that family connection. She's like, she always felt that was wrong, you know?
Yep.
But as him being the dad, obviously he had more say because that was his child. So she reconnected. They're back in each other's lives. They showed pictures of them having this birthday party for her that was for all the birthdays they had missed, and they were like crying.
Some of that is their
it's
fault
really
though for not
beautiful.
believing the people, but I'm gonna let that go. But
And
they was
and
wrong
all
as
their
hell.
and they had a round table with all of their kids, like the kids he had with Rebecca, and they were saying that they first of all they changed their last names. They all now have their mom's last name. They're like, we want no connection. They don't talk to him. They completely cut off all contact, and they say that it's hard for them to look at the videos that he used to, because they're like, we almost feel like he created us to cover up this past. Like the reason he disassociated was to make this happy family that was really just a cover up for like the fucking dark shit that he was really into. And so they don't feel like they feel kind of fucked for that. Like they're like, damn.
Pray for them kids, man.
Could you imagine? And Bailey was at the house when this murder happened. She was only 3 months, but she was at the house. Like, so
She
who
remembered
knows on a cell? No, I doubt it. But on a cellular level, that type of trauma.
Yo, you lied? Damn, bitch, you lied too?
And then it also ended saying that the family of the wife that was killed, they created Donna's fund, which was set up in her name, and it's a part of a shelter women can go to escape abusive relationships. You know what? You making that crying noise actually reminded me of one detail. Once they reopened the case and were looking through the evidence, when Mark had called 911, you could hear Roger moaning in the background, and he had told the 911 operator that he had shot him once. And then the operator, you hear her ask him, is he still alive? And Mark goes, I don't know. And then all of a sudden Mark goes, the baby's crying, I gotta call you back, and hangs up. Who calls the 911 operator back? And then when they get there, Roger had 2 shots in his head. It's like he got off,
He was like, damn, you right. I don't know if he's
right.
dead.
Like he was like, damn, hold up. He is in the background moaning. And they said when they listened to the recording, you didn't even hear a baby crying. So it's like he needed to silence him and then call 911 back. And this is all shit that they completely overlooked.
See, this is the why when people talk about like reform, defund the police, and police reform and shit like that, this is what it looks like, right? There should be
this type of shoddy
checks and balances in place, right? By way of policy and systems to prevent shit like this from happening. First of all, everybody should make more money that does these jobs, and also the requirement to get one of these jobs, it should be just like trying to be a doctor. You know what I'm saying? Some shit like that. There needs to be all kinds of testing, ethical, moral testing, shit like that. There has to be fitness assessment. You know what I'm saying? Mentally for people that do jobs like this, because how in the fuck do you, as a 911 operator, hear some shit like that and there's nothing that happens next. There's no action that takes place.
Like, wait a minute, y'all. He hung up
and then he hung up. Right. That's weird.
Like,
you alert someone, and come on, that should trigger an investigation or the beginnings of some sort of investigation. Right.
Especially even just the detail that he told her, I shot him once, but then
there were 2 gunshots. That right there. And now also the reform needs to look like some sort of accountability for that mistake. That's not a mistake.
And that's the part that tripped me out, that the detectives, and you can see in their face, they did look like, you can see in their face that this is something that they are carrying, like, no doubt. But the fact that all they get to do is just apologize to the family is like, and think about Roger, like, yes, he was a little kooky, said some weird shit, but he was about to go down as like a murderer.
Yeah. And I already judged Roger now.
Already,
and, like, you know what I'm saying?
And his family,
All right, y'all. Bye.
really vocal.